Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone. We are here with a special guest, Ram. Welcome, kind of like to this quick chat on OpenLedger, the space. It's an honor to have you here. You wanna quickly introduce yourself?
Hey guys, this is Ram. I'm one of the core contributors at OpenLedger. OpenLedger is an AI blockchain that enables users to collect datasets and builds unique specialized AI models and reward the data contributors as part of the process using attribution.
Nice. Yeah, I really like the attribution part.
Yeah.
So how kind of like, what was the story of OpenLedger? How you guys started? What was kind of like the missing point in terms of like infrastructure that you said, okay, I want to kind of like co-found this and build OpenLedger from scratch?
Yeah, so we were probably in the industry about a decade back. I got into it because someone paid me in Bitcoin, right? So that's how I got here, and been really focused towards building an R&D company more as a service. So we've worked with a lot of enterprises, right? And for all of these enterprises, we helped them get into Web3. There was also a lot of like automation being done, like we use machine learning and stuff like that. And then this ChatGPT moment was happening, and everyone was talking about AI, right? And we also want to get into like build like a protocol, like contribute to a protocol. And this idea came about when we saw a paper called Data Inf, and that particular paper just basically lets users get sort of like an attribution to the data that's being used in a model, right? Especially like fine-tuned models, right? If you take a look at large language model, there are so many data sets that goes in. When I take larger language model, I mean like OpenAI or Llama, they all train on internet data, right? That's the easiest accessible data that is there. So like how humans, we get trained on information, like knowledge, we gain knowledge, and that's how we are able to know stuff, like become an expert in a particular field. Models are trained on like internet data, right? So that they get a knowledge about the world. But these models are not so useful if they continue to be generic. They have to be specialized.
Specialized for use case, right?
And we saw there is a need for this, right? There is a lot of platforms which will enable you to build models like Hugging Face and all that, but they were not really rewarding the users. It is more open source. Open source is great, but only if we monetize open source is actually useful.
Yes.
So we understood there is a need, at least not immediately, at least a couple of years, it will become a big problem. That was the thought about like 2.5, 3 years back. So we built the protocol, we raised capital, and then we went ahead and started contributing to OpenLedger.
Nice.
And over the last 2 years, we're at a point where the need for specialized models and data is much more larger now.
Yes.
As you can see, like models have become much more specialized. People are looking for real-world use cases to use AI. In that case, you would need models to be much more unique to a particular category. Let's say someone is building a model for, let's say, a fintech app. Yep. You can't use a generic ChatGPT there, right? The first thing that people try to do is like prompt it, make it better with like prompt engineering, but it's not so useful. Then they use RAG, and they end up fine-tuning a model. We provide like a platform where you can basically collect unique data sets, build these specialized models, and then reward the data contributors using attribution as part of the process.
Do you see a specific kind of like use case? Can you mention some of kind of like?
Yeah, I'll tell a very Web3 relatable use case. So Cursor is a very well-known model. It's a code generation model, but it does not understand Solidity very well, right? It's not an expert in Solidity. Yeah. So there's a team which is building a Solidity model, which is trained on data sets around Solidity, basically code descriptions and documentations around Solidity. Now, the model is much more fine-tuned for Solidity. So if someone intends to build like an agent for like a Solidity Copilot, they could use this model than using like OpenAI. It's going to be much better in terms of the output it's going to give. It's going to be less hallucinating. It's going to be more accurate. So that's a very good example of how specialized models will work. And using OpenLedger, the team is able to collect data from across the globe, right?
Yes.
You have developers across the globe. Each one has a knowledge. They're able to collect that. Solidity is well known in Web3, but it's very sparse. Not many people have the data. So you need to crowdsource this data, and they use OpenLedger for that. And once this model makes revenue, once it's launched, whatever revenue that comes in is split between the model developer and the data contributor on top of us. So we are essentially creating this sort of a gig economy for data contribution. It's like how in YouTube you upload your video to just monetize your content, because it's a platform that lets you do that. We are basically letting people monetize their data using us.
Makes sense. I mean, we kind of like touch on the user side. On the developer side, like, what is kind of your take around tooling? I mean, I'm hearing more and more kind of like, decentralized AI sometimes is kind of like hard to use compared kind of like Web2 obviously solution.
Yeah.
But what is your take around developer tooling? What are we missing, or where was the state? Because I feel like compared to 1 year ago, things are getting much better in terms of tooling.
Yeah.
But what's your take around first how we got here? What is the state, and what are we still maybe missing?
Yeah, so I believe that decentralization is not like needed for everything. It's needed with actual use case.
Exactly.
There should be a product market fit. People have to use it. It can't be a purist saying that, okay, I'm going to make it a decentralized platform because I care about decentralization. In our case, we use decentralization for enabling people to collect data, right? It's like crowdsourcing. It's like getting resources to come together. So decentralization works there by nature. We can have data to be much more open and decentralized. It's unbiased and stuff. We also use crypto to reward people, right? So what we're essentially doing here is to make model development much more easier. In fact, using Web3, so you have much better access. So that making things easier. On the other side, as tooling, I think we need to provide tools which are much more easier for developers as well. Today's developers in AI, are not just going to be machine learning experts. It's going to go into people who want to experiment, play around. At this moment of AI, everyone is a developer, right? We can just use any platform. So we built a low-code platform where you could just go ahead and collect data and like fine-tune models using our stack. So the idea was behind to encourage more and more people experiment with AI.
Yeah.
We think that if you're let's say you're an entrepreneur, you want to build a firm, you want to build an app. Pretty much what you do over here is like people are going to evolve into like 1 or 2% companies, right? And you would have your AI support your product. And in that case, you don't want to hire someone, a machine learning expert and all that to actually build your own AI models. You would want the developer, the entrepreneur itself to go ahead and build their own models, like experiment around. That's why you have like a no-code platform. You don't have to be an expert. You can just experiment. If you know basic technology, you can be able to use that.
Yeah.
So giving simple tools is very important, and we believe that. So I think we built a good tool. Let's see how it goes once launched.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite impressed about the specifics around the docs, how you guys are also onboarding developer. I think like you also run your own kind of like CLI, also with specific example. So I think it's really, I mean, you kind of like care both on the user side, but also like on the developer side. I mean, this chat is going so fast. I already asked you about users, kind of like how you onboard developers. I mean, what are kind of like the misconception in general around kind of like decentralized AI right now? Because there is kind of like either you are in this space or you're not. But I feel like, we need to build around also trade-offs.
Yeah.
So I also like wonder, like, and this is, I don't want to compare you with other kind of like ecosystem players. Just want to understand like who is building for what, and what are the trade-offs that people care about, right?
I think there are three major components in AI. One is compute, and there is data, and then models. A lot of people focus on the compute. That's how it started. Decentralized compute companies came about. They solved the real problem. I think projects like Aether, they really brought down the access and the cost to compute. And then there are firms who started building on training, like decentralized training.
Yes.
There has been like experiments around that. I would say it's more distributed training now than actual decentralized training. There's a quite bit of difference there. I would encourage more on distributed training.
Yeah.
I think decentralized training, we still have time. Once AI really gets used, then we would worry about the training process. But then distributed training just makes things much more efficient. So a lot of firms like work on distributed training. So that's on the compute side.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of more guys who work on the data and models like us.
Yep.
I think there are firms which concentrate only purely on data, like data labeling, data collection, and stuff like that. And then there are firms who like enable like training. We are a team which enables both data collection and model development.
Nice.
So we provide like an end-to-end platform for that. So these have been the major kind of categories or experiments that have been going in the AI space. I think what we would love to see more on even the decentralized AI space is like apps, right?
Yes.
We always talk about this. This is a big problem. There is a lot of infrastructure, but then there is no apps.
Is it consumer-facing apps or?
I would say consumer-focusing apps, like apps for like DeFi and stuff like that. Like the one that we're working with Trust Wallet is more on enabling them to like build model, which can power user onboarding, swaps, and like better efficient and smart swaps, and just better access to like DeFi, right?
Nice.
Like DeFi is like totally broken in terms of its UX. Hopefully AI can solve that. So more focused consumer apps that can enable this would be great. That's what I'm thinking.
That makes sense. And in terms of like trade-offs, like are you think like some kind of like, I mean, what do we need to compromise in terms of like, scaling this further?
In terms of the AI.
Could be, yeah, it could be like I'm hearing more and more like, for example, decentralized. If you want to have a truly decentralized AI infrastructure, you need to compromise on latency, for example.
Yeah.
Like, or I'm assuming I'm just kind of like making up like those attributes that need to be like security. Maybe is also like a compromise that you need to do, right?
Yeah. It comes down to like what's everyone's need, right?
Yes.
So if there's a firm that actually needs, let's say, verifiable inference because they don't want to make sure that there is an impact. They want to make sure that every inference is like verifiable.
Yes.
Sure, then they could use that. It's still there could be latency,
Yes.
but it's what they want, right?
Yes.
Like, so it really comes down to the actual use case. Decentralized AI, as I told you, there's a lot of part to it. There's a lot of places where it's much more efficient, like centralized AI, and there are places where it's not so efficient. But it comes down to like what are your trade-off, what really want.
Yes.
So I think that's what we see.
Makes sense. And one thing is, I was wondering in general is that people obviously speak about adoption. I mean, when you're kind of thinking about kind of like metrics to define, we're meeting here, right, in 6 months, and we're saying, hey, OpenLedger, has a great adoption. What are the kind of like the main metrics and attributes that you think we should kind of like standardize around, this kind of like, sub-vertical that we can say, okay, I assume onboarding developers, dApps maybe being built, but what are the other metrics that you think we should care about?
Revenue, I would say. Like, I think people should start making revenue. It's not, token is not the only revenue, right? So people have to understand.
And revenue models? Like, what are our current revenue models?
So currently we have multiple revenue models. We work with enterprises. There is revenue models with enterprise payers to like deploy models for them. We also, obviously, when consumers use our product, they can go ahead and use OpenLedger to pay for the fees to build models. There is the inference fee, and there is the the fee that we charge for distributions among the model developer and the data contributor. So we want to make sure that we make considerable revenue as part of the process because you need to build like a product market fit, and revenue is sort of like the biggest motivation for you to do that, right? So I think it's not bad to make revenue. We have to have sort of like a goal, like a something that we want to achieve. It should be a moonshot, but there should also be some validation. I think revenue is a great validation as part of the process. So obviously developers is the biggest focus. More and more adoption, not because we want to focus on revenue. We would want to build something which is not much more larger for the community. So balancing that is very important. So we already have close to about 20 plus folks building AI models on us. We have about, I would say, around 6 to 7 enterprises that we're currently working with. We would love to, scale that as we go open, permissionless. Anyone can come and build on us. So it'll be much more scalable.
And I think you guys are doing an amazing work also on the community side, right? Not just hearing feedback, but actively engaging the fact that, you and your team are here at ECC, you are in Istanbul. I mean, you're kind of like everywhere. So you care about the community. So how the community today is contributing, could be grants program, but it could be like anything. Like what kind of are the activation out there that you guys are doing?
So we are a community-first company because we would want the community to participate in either as a data contributor or build AI models on us. So the need for community to be very well engaged with OpenLedger is very important because first of all, it's important for awareness. Not many people know about AI, and then you need to break it down to decentralized AI and stuff. So community being engaged is very important for awareness. So we would want more of that, right? So I think we have a good, strong community. Web3 itself is a very strong community. I love that. And we want to expand more of that. So we've been traveling because we want to meet developers. I was in China, I was in South Korea, just meeting developers over there who are building on us. So we would love to go around and meet more folks and encourage more of them to experiment and build around. As only then people are aware of what is possible, you would have various people to experiment on, and we would get actual feedback, right? Because we won't know it all. Only when people actually use it, we would know how the product works. So that's very important.
I mean, being hands-on in this kind of ecosystem is something that is super crucial, not just on the product side, but also on the distribution side. And I think we're almost at time here. I mean, we are concluding almost ECC, right? It's the last day. What are kind of the main lesson learned here that you kind of take home?
The last day is the most hottest day, I think. It's quite hot. But it's been great. I think it's a good conference. It's quite packed and it's in a small place, so you bump into a lot of people.
Oh yes.
I've been meeting a lot of my folks, friends, and so learned a lot of what's really happening. What's the current interest among developers, investors, and like people who are in crypto for, like, let's say, on the trading side, right? You get to learn more about that. All of that is important in building a product, right? Because you're going public in crypto, you go public in about a year or so. So you need to know about the market much quicker and much better as well. So there's a lot of feedback on that. We've been hearing a lot more about AI again. I think that's good. There was this wave when the AI ages was happening, and then they kind of like just went away, right? I'm glad that people are realizing there is much more larger stuff is there. You know, you could build. I'm glad that people are understanding the infrastructure behind AI, why models are important and stuff like that. So so it's been great meeting a lot of folks and.
It's nice. No, that's good. I mean, we're just doing around the block side events, and you're always meeting people, so it's great. So let's kind of question. I'm not sure if it's spicy or not, but do you have any hot takes? Could be about decentralized AI. Could be about anything.
I don't think decentralization needed for everything, as I told you.
Only all the on-chain, also like what need to be stored on-chain.
Yes, like I think we need to really figure out product market fit. It's high time.
Where do you think currently there is the PMF? Like we speak about
in terms of decentralized AI.
Also, could be also decentralized AI, right?
See, trading always has PMF in crypto, right? If you take a look at it, anything related to finance, anything related to trading, lending has been like PMF in crypto. That's why crypto even started, right, initially. But the actual purpose is much more larger than that.
I agree.
It's not like trading is bad. You should still have it. I think trading is the most common, aspect for anyone across the globe. So, but building a product that is actually useful is also important. Like, see, all kinds of performing. The reason why is because people are fed up. Like, everyone is launching a new protocol, a new product. No one is actually building a use case that people can use. We need to kind of realize that before this industry kind of like starts to collapse on that, and then there's this Bitcoin. So I think building a good product where people can actually use, and your token is a sort of like a byproduct. It's like a engine that runs inside, right? So building a product should be the biggest focus.
I mean, fundamentals done right with the right kind of like Web3 rails, and abstracting maybe even this part to consumer-facing developer. It's extremely important. Okay, so you're. Thanks so much, Ram. It was a pleasure to have you here. Enjoy ECC, and see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.